We'll start out today talking about Krystal and his signing to the Charge as a two-way player, along with some of the fines levied against them.
After that, we'll be going to court. And then returning to talk about the Overwatch League pre-something, end of the show.
It would be a postseason. It would be a postseason. That's what we'll be talking about, the format changes, along with looking at our mailbag from the previous week. I'm Avast. This is Jayne, and welcome to Contested. Hello, everyone. We are once again live from the Frontier Communication Studio here in Dallas, Texas. It feels good to be back. We had one day off.
Yes,
One whole day.
They didn't let me out of the closet. I was still chained in there,
wow.
But we just didn't have to come out and
so you have a whole
sing
closet,
and dance
huh?
and clap. Yes, I do.
That's impressive.
Someday you'll get promoted to closet.
Well, I'll get the
monkey.
closet next.
Yeah. No, my brain short-circuited during the introduction because it's like it's postseason is what it is, right? But it's like it's still part of the season because it's the lead up to the playoffs.
It's the lights.
I think it's
the lights are so bright it's just like hitting your brain. Directly.
As soon as you see that little red light, it's just hypnotizing me, and it just instantly IQ is lowered by like 4 points. I've only got 5 of them, so.
That's tough.
It's tough
out there for us.
Tough life, okay?
Us single-digit IQers out there. It's a tough one. But we got to start off today, before we get into anything else, with a poppin' off, presented by Jack in the Box, of course.
We do.
We need to start off with that. And today's poppin' off is going to be Shu of the Guangzhou Charge. Getting a 3K here on Busan. Shanghai at 99%, having 4 people alive, drops the Amp Matrix, gets Izzyaki immediately right off the bat on the catwalk, follows it up by getting Li Zhegang, goes past the shield of Fearless, picks up Fearless next, healing the entire team while he's at it, and allowing the reflip to happen here for Charge. Shu going gigantic, much like the feet of Bigfoot.
It's the red light.
It's the red light.
It's the red got you too.
It's the red light got me. Well, I wanted to loop it back.
Yeah.
I wanted to loop it back to the foot thing that we did in the pre-show.
But it's the pre-show. People who watch, imagine not watching the pre-show.
I mean, if you don't watch the pre-show, you miss so much.
You're not even a real fan, so.
You really, yeah.
I mean, we really did.
We can start saying that now.
We should.
We can start qualifying who are the real fans or not.
Definitely not Joshin.
100%.
100%. I assure you he's not in chat. Therefore, not true fan.
Yeah.
But you know else who is joining the Guangzhou Charge? Do you know?
I do know, but I want you to finish your statement.
It's Krystal. Krystal is joining the Guangzhou Charge. It has been announced 2 days ago now that the man who infamously just did not report to practice because he wanted to go and smash.
I'm glad you used that terminology.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm pretty sure I stole it directly off of somebody on Twitter.
I mean, I said that.
Yeah, did you?
I said.
Are you the guy who's smarter than me on Twitter?
It's very possible.
All right. Well,
I've never lost my check mark, so.
Never. Wow.
I've never lost.
Okay. But the man, of course, previously Hangzhou Spark, and obviously tainted that relationship. People thought that the Chengdu Hunters might be picking him up, but no, the news is, along with their new sponsor, Herbalife, Krystal is going to be joining the Guangzhou Charge.
He will, as a two-way. So not as a immediate player, and also people from the Charge have come up and said, like, likely just going to be a backup for the current time being, playing as a two-way player. And that comes along with also, on top of this new signing, is that due to this aforementioned controversy, Billy...
No, it's not due to this, but it is kind of related.
Well, due to his, leaving the Spark and now joining the Charge.
Yes.
Also levied a 15 million renminbi
We're going to have to get a pronunciation check on that one.
I believe. And also, which is roughly equivalent to $2.13 million against Krystal. Which is nuts. I mean, no other way around it.
I mean, you have players like Lastro who have been fined a couple thousand for some comments in all chat, but I'm pretty sure, we'll have to get a fact check on this one, chat, but pretty sure that 2.13, and we don't know any more numerical precision than that, but $2.13 million fine, I think, might be taking the...
It outweighs about 1,000, I'd say, by a significant margin.
It's a bit larger than the fines we've seen so far. And it's not really a fine being levied by the Overwatch League. This is a legal action taking among damage to brand.
Technically, it's not a fine. It's actually...
Like, they're just going after him
for court. Yeah, they're suing Krystal in court.
Yeah, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that judgment.
No.
So, And one of the other things that we didn't mention is that he's technically not solely signed to the Guangzhou Charge. He is part of the two-way contract.
Yes.
So he can also play on the Guangzhou Charge's academy team, which is Ignite 1, if I'm remembering that correctly. And of course, with them having Nero and Aileen already on the team, Krystal can play a bit of hit scan, bit of projectile as well. So good kind of flex, patching some holes, but unlikely to actually, at least from the commentary and what I would agree with as well, unlikely to immediately replace anybody currently on the DPS line of the Guangzhou Charge. I mean, they just walked out of the Summer Showdown one, winning the actual APAC division tournament. So it's not like the Charge is in desperate need of an upgrade, as good as Krystal is. But
I would say Krystal does bring some good flexibility to any roster. If Krystal actually plays the video game, Krystal's a really good player to have, I'd say. When Krystal got to play for the few games that Krystal did for Spark, Krystal was pretty good. And Krystal had a reputation before that for being one of the better Chinese DPS players. So Krystal, obviously a pretty good player. It's just when you leave and lie about why you leave and go home to be with your girlfriend and then don't fulfill your contracts or come back or talk to your org for like a month, that can cause some issues.
Just a few, including legal judgment of $2.13 million.
It's, and also people brought it up. It's like, it's very likely that, like most legal things, especially when you're suing for damages, you start high and you kind of get to the point. Because if we're being real, 2.13 is ridiculous. There is no way close that Krystal's contract was even close to that amount, even if it was multi-year. On top of that, like, I'm sure there's other value added attached, like housing costs and, reputational things, but that's absurd.
Yes.
That is absurd. There's no
way that they're actually going to end up getting the $2.13 million, even if that is, if the court is like, yes, even if that happens, Krystal's going to be in a world of hurt. But there's no world in which he was paid that much or would end up actually transferring that amount of money.
Whatever Billy suffered, the damage wise, was not worth $2.13 million for Krystal.
Yeah.
Like it's just ridiculous. Like I'm sure there's some money that are definitely owed to them. Like there should be a consequence. I think 100% there should be a consequence
for sure.
But that is a ridiculous consequence. And they probably won't get that, like we said. They won't. But it's something that is interesting to see because I think it's probably the first case in Overwatch League.
For sure.
Like this ever. And so
at least that we know about.
Right?
Yeah.
But even to my knowledge, even when I scroll through my juice detectors, there's nothing.
Yeah, even in like the category of things that Avast and I know that aren't allowed to talk about, nothing on this scale shows up on my radar. So.
Absolutely not. This is one of a kind right now. So it is. On one hand, I'm like, yes, it's deserved. Other hand, not that much though. Especially when you're just a really dumb kid. Like you need to be punished, but you don't need to be like sent into like indentured servitude.
Yeah, and of course you need to have some sort of jurisdiction set up, or not jurisdiction, precedent rather. Man, we are using so many legal terms. I'm excited to, we went to law school for.
This is gonna apply later on.
Fantastic segue in about 30 seconds here, but I forgot completely the words.
I agree, Jane.
I'm just saying that there needs to be a precedent for players just completely skipping on their contract, like literally ghosting an Overwatch League franchise, like signed to play for their team, and then just a month be like, I wonder if I just like stop replying on Discord if they'll forget I exist.
Yeah. And once again, the classic debate of like, where's the players union? Where is it? And it's like, what is the players union gonna do if you walk away from your contract and literally stop communicating with your org for a month?
The first thing that the players union would try and do is get a hold of Krystal, probably over Discord.
I mean, like the most they can do is maybe
step one.
Put in like a max amount of fine. But the thing is, it's not a fine. Like this is a legal proceeding. The players union would literally have no weight upon this because this is an org literally suing someone for contract breach versus a fine. You know. No, stop.
Well, enough with us speculating about the whole legal world. This week, actually, Avast and myself, we went to court. And we went to court on your behalf. So we received your arguments about who should be the MVP and the Rookie of the Year during this Overwatch League season. And, well, we put your arguments to the test in the legal system
And there
itself.
are some familiar judges as well. Some familiar judges in the community court.
All right, please be seated. This court is now in session.
I'm already seated. Judge,
Objection. Silence in the court. Mr. Avast, right? Mr. Avast. Yes. I apologize for my tardiness there. I was at the hairdresser's and we have the comb got stuck in my eyebrows, but We are here.
Those are some very bushy eyebrows you have.
All right, Mr. Avast. Now, in the cases, the aforementioned cases, who exactly are you representing here today?
The contested community here in the contested community court, representing obviously the MVP and Rookie of the Year picks your bushiness. So that will be the play.
It's your lordiness?
Your lordiness. Okay, your lordiness. Well, that will be the docket for today and what we're presenting for you due to your many years of school. And I imagine traveling abroad based off that accent. I mean, where might that accent have been located from?
Yeah, it's that accent's in North Uptown.
North Uptown.
Yeah, that's just south of Main Street.
Just south of Main Street.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
So North Uptown is south of Main Street.
Let's just hear your arguments, Mr. Avast. I don't want to hear none of your objections, Mr. Avast. Now, who will you be presenting first, Rookie of the Year or MVP?
Yes, your hairiness. So will be lordiness. So we will be presenting obviously first our MVP candidate, and this will be Jinmu. Actually, is the contested community MVP candidate here for the court's consideration, and listed under the filings in subsection A, article Bronze SR, is that Jinmu gets more blades than I have IQ points. So we submit that for your...
More blades than you have IQ points. Is that you personally, Mr. Avast, or those that you are representing?
This would be those who I'm representing, so it's more of a collective pool of intelligence points there. If you imagine it's sort of a commune of intelligence. Now, remember, this is from my Discord, so... The numbers might be a little low.
Mr. Avast, I need some numbers here. Now, if you're saying these two things equal, do you have either statistics on the number of people that Jinmu has bladed or the IQ of those that you are representing, Mr. Avast?
Well, to be honest, I don't have the exact number of blade kills, but I do have something that will give you the range. So if we imagine this more of a mathematical problem, and I know that due to the incredible complexities of your mind, your furriness, lordiness, is that there is you're obviously going to understand some of these simple logic puzzles, and that if Jinmu, we assume to have more than 0 blade kills, and my average Discord community is about 0 on the intelligence scale,
yes.
on one whole scaled, we can assume that Jinmu has at least 1 blade kill.
Makes sense. I'm following.
And there's the reasoning.
Seems rather sound. I see no flaw in these arguments, Mr. Avast. I can see why you're representing them.
Yeah, I did not spend 20 minutes in law school for no reason.
Wow, that's more than I have. Now, your second argument here on, I do believe, is Rookie of the Year. Who are you proposing as the Rookie of the Year candidate, Mr. Avast?
Well, your shagginess. In that is
you know
actually...
what? I actually like that one.
You like shagginess?
We're going to keep shagginess.
Shagginess is good.
We're going to keep shagginess.
So we actually have a...
Court interpret shagginess correct, please. My title, too.
And write it down as well that you can refer to me, Scribe, as Lord McHugedong. So for the Rookie of the Year consideration from the contested community, they have listed Exy as their choice due to these following factors here in the filings. 1 is beautiful. 2 is really good at video games. 3 had to go home to Korea to fix their severe neck pain after the weight of their bowling ball-sized brain nearly crushed their spinal column.
Now, I must admit I was not listening to your arguments, Mr. Avast, as I was fixing my beret. I lost it, but,
why are you wearing a beret on top of your wig?
It's very common fashion in North Uptown.
In North Uptown?
Yes. It's anything not from North Uptown is just sparkling hats, but I assure you this is a beret.
So from the Uptown region of North?
Yes. All right. Well... Now, I've heard your arguments and taken them into deep consideration, and I do have a ruling first on your MVP candidate being Jinmu. Now, of course, in these matters, it seems like you have picked now 2 individuals with extenuating circumstances. Now, you did not mention this. However, the Chengdu Hunters coaching staff, of course, the team that Jinmu is a part of, is currently in a catastrophic state of disrepair.
Objection. Hearsay. The Chengdu Hunters have performed excellently. You don't have to look at wins or how many titles they have. Okay, you just have to look at how many hearts they've touched.
Do you have statistics for these hearts that have been touched, Mr. Avast?
Well, based off the Weibo statistics, it's looking like at least 3 to 4 billion.
Now, I believe the hearts you're referring to are likes on the posts calling for the heads of the Chengdu Hunters coaching staff. Is that correct, Mr.
No,
Avast?
this is the inspirational angels in the outfield type of
I feel like
play.
you're misinterpreting or misrepresenting the facts, Mr. Avast. So I find that this case is not going in your favor. I do not agree with your arguments.
It is not.
No, one of those. No.
It is. That's a double negative.
You are not guilty of being MVP, Mr. Jinmu.
Jinmu is not guilty.
All right, let's hear your XCR. Wait.
That's you.
No, that's me.
Yeah, you're furriness. That's yours.
You will sit there and hear my judgment.
Yes.
On the XC.
That's how court
Now,
works.
same with your bleeding hearts and thinking minds arguments. I find that your extenuating circumstances, this case, is also insufficient to rule XC as the Rookie of the Year campaign. Do you have any objections this time, Mr. Avast?
Obviously, I have objections once again because you are overlooking the fact the scale of the medical bills here from XC's brain and how it is as dense as a neutron star. Thus, the compression of the spine,
Yes.
and obviously his resulting play, and his incredible good looks. You're missing both of those.
I additionally find that insufficient. The extenuating circumstances are insufficient because if we were to take into consideration bills and fines levied against players in the league to matter for the awarding of these prestigious awards that we are awarding, then Krystal would have all of them. So, taking that into consideration, I also find...
I would also like to object on that. Those are fines, not so much bills. These are very separate things.
I don't understand
Very
money.
separate things, your rug ship. Two very different things.
Well, that's a separate case. I think you'll have to present that in a separate document. For now, case closed. Court is no longer in session. I find your arguments insufficient, Mr. Avast.
Court is now in session here in the Contested Immunity Court. I am Judge Av, unrelated entirely to investigative reporter Av. So this is more in a judiciary role for myself. And we'll be hearing, I believe it is Jayne to represent the contested community and their MVP and Rookie of the Year candidates for Overwatch League Season 3.
Yeah. Hello, Judge Av. I'm so happy to be here. Like, long-time listener and watcher, first-time caller, first-time lawyer. So, yeah, big fan of the programs. And Judge Av, you've always been great. I really appreciate it. But
I know.
Yeah, yes. Sorry. But yes, of course, here on business. So, lawyer time. I know you're role-playing a judge. I stayed in a Holiday Inn last weekend myself. So, yes. But I am here, of course, representing the contested community here and presenting two dockets. One, of course, being the Rookie of the Year case, and the other being a case of most valuable player of the Overwatch League.
Well, let's start then, I think, with the MVP candidate. And this is, once again, the community, not you. You're just bringing forward the community's ideas here.
Yeah, certainly. No, I think that these cases that I have collected, they're certainly...
If you don't start speaking more succinctly, you're about to catch a case of these hands, Jayne.
Right. I apologize, Judge Av. I'll get a little bit closer to the mic and speak a little bit more dramatically because I understand this is a TV
this
drama.
is very serious here. We started this court. This court started at least 3 hours ago. It's existed for a long time here. It's the fabric of me choking on this beard. That's it. This is my real beard too. We'll go on.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Isn't that longer than
Go
both
on.
of us went to law school?
I'm an elected official. I don't go to law school.
All right. Well, I'd like to present first the community's case for MVP. Now, if I may, I've had nothing to do but think over these past few weeks about who should be the MVP. Really think about our bloody history, the mistakes that we've made so far. But really, what unites people? What unites fans? Is it armies? gold dragons.
What the hell are you saying? What is this Game of Thrones?
No.
Are you doing Game of Thrones?
It's what unites people is stories, Your Honor.
This is Game of Thrones.
No, it's not.
No, this is Game of Thrones.
There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story, Your Honor. Nothing can stop it. No enemies can defeat it, not even in overtime. And really, who has had a better story than Fearless?
That's Game of Thrones.
No, Your Honor. Fearless is not in Game of Thrones. He's part of the Shanghai Dragons, which has had the most glorious story, not just in Season 3 of the Overwatch League, but the Overwatch League as a whole. Sorry, you wanted dramatic.
Well, plagiarism is a separate court. This is more of this is a civil court versus a criminal, but that's fine. So let's hear then the contested community's Rookie of the Year candidate. Are you okay over there? Or
Sorry, I'm doing my close-up.
Oh,
My Les Mis close-up.
Scribe, can we write in the record that the Jayne representing the contested community is wasting time, and in addition is blatantly plagiarizing storylines
Your Honor,
from books that will never be finished.
Your Honor, you just don't appreciate timing, dramatic timing, good timing, silence. You know, it's I don't know, one of those things. But what I do know is that I also do, of course, have a candidate that I am presenting on behalf of the contested community here. And for Rookie of the Year, they are presenting CR0NG, also known as Krong, the off-tank extraordinaire from the Guangzhou Charge. Now, I must say that one of the arguments here is that Krong is the type of maestro on Sigma that Sigma himself wishes that he could be. Now,
no fan fiction.
no fan
No
fiction?
fan fiction in this court, please.
I mean, that's like
This sounds dangerously close to fan fiction.
it's like 90% of my arguments, Your Honor.
Then that's not a good sign.
All right.
That's not a good sign.
Now, I do have 10% of my arguments remaining. Now, of course, Krong, being a new individual being talked about in the community, a lot of people didn't even realize he was a player who existed until some commentators started talking about him. And then they didn't even realize he was a rookie. So, there's a lot of hype. He's definitely been on the upswing. So gaining a lot of popularity. And because, of course, he is an APAC player, he has the advantage that nobody in North America actually watches the Guangzhou Charge's game. So nobody has any counter-arguments about why he should not be Rookie of the Year.
That's a pretty convincing argument, actually. I haven't thought about that one before. And I mean, I have at least 1 to 2 thoughts per day. So this is pretty interesting for me. I guess with that in mind, we will make our ruling now. The court will rule for the MVP and Rookie of the Year candidates presented by the contested community and represented by Jayne. So we'll start with the MVP candidate, which is Fearless as the potential choice. And I think I'll 100% be ruling against Fearless as the MVP candidate.
Objection.
You can't. Only I can gavel. You can't.
I'm not
can't do it.
gaveling. I'm just fisting.
No, you're.
Objection.
No. Stop that. Order in this court, or I will send you to the gulag. Okay, I will. I have that power.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
I have that power. Do
Please
not
continue.
question it.
Please continue
So
with
I
your
will be ruling
arguments.
against Fearless simply because I watched the final season of Game of Thrones, and it pissed me off everything you said. So Fearless is not MVP. So followed up by Krong as the Rookie of the Year candidate. And you did bring up a very convincing argument, how most NA viewers do not watch the Asia Games. And as myself, I don't watch the Asia Games. I mean, I can barely watch. I can barely watch any games, honestly, in between my repeated showings of.
It's all the time you spend streaming. You don't have time to actually watch the games.
That is exactly right. Now, I'm Av, not Avast. And as you notice, Av is more of a beard going into their mouth type of judge, not a streamer. So that's more the thing that they do. So I will say for my final ruling on that, no, because I don't like Charge fanboys. That's mainly the biggest thing. I'm tired of hearing about Charge and how Charge is the greatest. So really, and people keep bringing up Krong as Rookie of the Year and blah, 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 blah. Honestly, off tanks, you're going to have to get over it. You're just going to have to get over it, off tanks, okay? Krong's not Rookie of the Year. No.
Well, Your Honor, I don't have any counter arguments at this moment, but I would request a recess to try and gain more arguments and maybe actually watch a few of the APAC region games to counter some of your.
No. Let's talk about Eagle Gaming instead. Court dismissed. Court dismissed.
Okay.
Eagle Gaming, court dismissed.
Drinks.
Well, that is, another great. I have to say that it's pretty surprising that Av and Jath are members of the community, court.
Yeah, they're part of the legal system. I mean, that was technically Av's uncle's twice removed.
That was an unrelated Av.
Yeah,
yes, there's a whole spectrum of Avs.
A whole spectrum.
A whole tree.
Ranging from what to what?
Well, if you consider the tree has no branches and a single trunk that goes up and it's just a single log of a genealogy, then, just Av can take many different shapes and forms. It's a lot.
Well, I'm looking forward to the other forms that Av is going to take, but I hope you guys enjoyed our visit to the contested community court. Of course, if we have further arguments presented by the community, we will put them to the
I'm going to have to
test.
stop. Our producer just typed Pickle Av in the chat. Mike, no. No.
We're not doing Pickle Av?
That Pickle Av.
It's the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Pickle Av. That is definitely us jumping the shark here so early. If we show up and it's like, it's Pickle Av.
It's Pickle
and I'm
Av.
like green in the pickle costume. Oh my God. Okay,
Well, now we have to do it.
I get maybe.
Maybe
we'll have a clip show or something. It just doesn't various causes. Where were we moving to after that? What were we doing? We were talking about abs and the various spectrums and.
Yeah, just
really
if there were future, that was based off of a mailbag last week. So we asked you guys for your arguments about MVP and Rookie of the Year, and we had so many. A lot of people also just like straight up didn't listen to instruction. We asked for one and an explanation, and there are so many people who just were like, "Here's a list of everyone in the Overwatch League. One of these is probably the MVP." So if you're one of those people, I hate you and everything about you.
Well, that's why we are judges.
Yeah, true.
Or not judges.
No,
That's
we're
why
not. We're lawyers.
That's why we're lawyers.
definitely
We're able
not
to
judges.
sift through the legal minutia
Yes.
of and then submit it to the court for Judge Jath and Judge Av's approval. And they didn't approve any of them.
No, they didn't. They are really hard cookies.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I think you kind of blew your case by referencing Game of Thrones. I think
What?
I
My
think you
Game
blew
of
your
Thrones
case.
reference was flawless. Okay, Tyrion's speech is the best writing we've ever seen. Really?
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Whatever you
Yes.
say. I think that's what.
I mean,
really
season
ruined
8
the
has
case
got to
there.
be like one of the best seasons of television.
We've gone downhill fast. We're doing Pickle Av and praising Game of Thrones season 8.
I mean, at this point, if we're planning on parodying Rick and Morty, aren't we just like post-ironic structuralism?
We're gonna post the shark, but we're gonna make it an Overwatch player. It's gonna be Sharik.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump the Sharik.
Oh man,
do that.
somebody in chat was like, "We have reached degeneracy levels of way too high," and honestly, I'm starting to agree. What are we actually supposed to be talking about?
Well, they released postseason.
Postseason.
The postseason has
Okay.
finally been released after some speculation by John Spector putting a little teaser post out
Does it really
there.
count as speculation if like the
we were speculating.
We were speculating.
And then he put out an actual post. And they released the formats because there's going to be 2 regional playoffs.
Yes.
For NA and for the Asia region. And then they will come together right now.
I like it that you had to look at your fingers to make sure that you could lace them together properly.
So the NA teams will travel to Korea and they will all not be playing on LAN, but they will play on equal pings at least.
Yeah, so they are going to be sending 2 of the American teams over to the Asian region. They're not going to play in a studio or an arena or anything like that. They're just simply playing in the same general area so that there's low ping. So there's that, which is obviously pretty interesting, that we're not going to have kind of full-scale production or anything of the sort. But additionally, despite there being 7 APAC teams and 13 North American teams, there's 2 from both divisions.
Which I don't really like. When I initially tweeted about it, I said it was underwhelming.
I mean, you're just an NA fanboy.
No. Well, I mean, sort of, but like that's not really the point. Is more the fact that if one region has double the amount of teams, and like it's kind of ridiculous to have only 2 teams come out of a team. Like it's pretty much 7 and 14 teams. It's 13, but pretty much double.
Yeah.
Like, how are we only gonna have 2 teams coming out of that region? And if I was an owner too, I'd kind of be a little pissed because I'm like, so you're telling me I could have moved to Korea potentially and gotten like a better chance. Obviously, there's like the whole like geographic, but guess what? London's not based out of Korea. Like there's no
As much
London,
as they
Korea.
wanna be.
There's no London, South Korea.
There is a
So,
London in Canada.
Yeah, that's fair. But the point being is that I'd be kind of upset that just because I'm in a region with more teams and now there's only gonna be 2 teams making out of it. Like I'd be like, that seems kind of lame. Like, because just based off the number of teams in Korea, there's going to be a larger percentage of them making playoffs.
And this is also going to be the first time that we really get to see APAC division teams play against North American teams. So, there's a lot of speculation about which region is better, plays a better Overwatch, whether it is APAC or North America. And really the first time that we even get these teams who, being in different areas, scrimming different teams, playing different teams, the metas and the understandings, the strengths, weaknesses, all of those are going to be developing differently. Not entirely differently, because you still are seeing Tier 1 Overwatch being played on the same patch as yourself. But really the first time that we get to these teams to kind of meet each other in
and it will be no hero pools for postseason.
Yeah, no hero pools for postseason. But really, what happens if one of these regions, and I won't even speculate which one, is just way, way better than the other, sort of thing? It's I guess at least having two teams from both regions means that the finals could still be between like two North American teams or two APAC region if there is quite a very large skill difference between the divisions. But it's an interesting decision. I think North American fans have the right to certainly question the decision, but I don't think it's completely unheard of or realistic, especially with the fact that they really are spending a very large amount of money on just like the logistical difficulties of sending North American teams across the ocean
right now during COVID, because they're going to have to quarantine. They have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
The quarantine for 2 weeks first.
And I also think part of the reason why we're not getting the LAN finals, they stated that that it was because of the safety of players and crew and production, everything, which is a very valid reason. But I also think something that's sort of being overlooked is the fact that Overwatch League likely had a venue in place already before this.
Yes.
And then COVID hit, and everyone's like, well, so you sort of have two options there as a league, is that you can wait and sit on it and hope that it gets better, or you can start exploring new venue options. But the thing is that a lot of venues are booked months to a year in advance for major events. And then COVID comes in, and so if you wait at all, you pretty much have no window, and then a lot of venues aren't even really accepting anything right now because of COVID. So the added complexity as well of finding a new venue, short notice, in the span of, who knows, like 2 to 3 months or less. And then it's also in Korea, which I would say is probably, it's even tougher to find venues to make it work. Now, and a lot of people brought up that Korean Contenders, they're doing a no audience venue out of the Giga Arena there, but the OGN Arena, as it's called. But I still think that's probably something this is a venue they already had. They had this venue, and there's no guarantee that they'll be able to use it the same way. Like, there's a lot of ifs. I will say that it is unfortunate, and there might have been ways around to have a venue. They could have potentially repurposed the OGN Arena, but I still think it's a lot to ask for a grand finals. Who knows? And also, imagine a grand finals in the OGN Arena still. It's still relatively underwhelming, I'd say. Yeah. It's pretty underwhelming for what you want out of the Overwatch League Grand Finals. Because as someone that's been there and has seen the games in there, it's just kind of a small place.
It is.
It's not crazy.
And there is a good point in chat that it's just a blessing, I suppose, that we are going to get a single Grand Finals at all. Because really, one of the things that they could have done is just kept them regional, put an asterisk behind it for the year of 2020 who won the Overwatch League, and just have 2 separate Grand Finals. So the fact that we're getting any sort of Grand Finals at all,
and with cross-regional play,
regional play,
yeah.
So, and another conversation point just to bring up, chat said that they were clarifying that it's not North America versus APAC in the finals. We're just saying that this is the first time that we get to really compare these two regions directly. So the format of the preseason isn't set up where it's like North America versus APAC. Like, all the teams are put in without respect to the division of origin.
And also the cool thing about the playoffs too is that there is a route for teams to make it in still.
Yes, and no one's disqualified.
No one. Yeah, everyone is able to make it in as long as they make it. They have to have a crazy run, an insane run.
We can definitely still see like a Boston-Washington final. That seems reasonable.
That seems
those are my dark horses.
Very reasonable.
Those are my dark horses. Calling it now.
Boston definitely seems a reasonable choice. I want a Boston Chengdu finals.
Oh, that's sexy.
That would be sick.
That would be so good.
That would be sick nasty.
Yeah, I would. Yep.
I would love it. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I don't think
a man can dream, right? A man can dream.
You can dream, but you shall remain dreaming because you are not in reality. You are not in reality if that's what you're believing. But
there's another great question in chat. What is the point of the season if anybody can make it? And there is
I know
Anybody can make it, but there is a massive, massive advantage for actually being higher in the standings because there is, as you get towards the actual kind of like final grand finals bracket, if you will, that's a double elimination bracket. But to get into that, to take those last couple of slots, it's a single elimination bracket. So not only are these people having to play more teams, play extremely high-stake games, where if they mess up once, they're not even going to make it into the final bracket, they're also exposing their strategies and strengths since the postseason is going to be happening without hero pools. So although it might be possible for anybody to make it into the grand finals, it is certainly by far
really, really hard.
Really hard,
You have to have
and
an
definitely not an
incredible
even
run.
playing
Like
field.
I was looking for the graphic for the longest time, and I finally found it. And because on the first day of playoffs, there's the 10th seed versus the 12th or 13th seed, depending on, and then the remaining seed afterwards for game 2 between the 11th seed and who's remaining after that's been picked.
Yep.
And then you still have to play, whoever wins that has to play the 3rd seed and then the 4th seed. And then if you win that, then you're going to have to play you have to go on, or really go 6th and 7th.
so unless you're field day,
like,
you're probably going to be exhausted.
you have to play, well, they're on separate days, luckily, I believe.
Yes, they are. But
So it's still like
it's
you
still
have to play
so
like a
mentally
solid, like an extra
taxing,
like 4
preparing.
games.
Yeah, like preparing for that many different teams back to back. That is such a grueling schedule, regardless
Yeah.
of them being on different days.
And also
Absolutely.
people have tape from you from previous times. Like, you have to work against an incredible disadvantage to
Yep.
make it all the way up. So I honestly argue, I would say for myself, especially since it's a tournament style format in a way.
Yeah.
And that's always more exciting to me. You're already being disadvantaged by being a lower seed. If you make it through every team, and there's no hero pools, right? So there isn't like you're dealing with a particular hero pool advantage either. Like you're
Yes.
sort of everyone's on a relatively even playing field. Depends on the patch necessarily, because you could argue, favorable meta, which is possible, but they sort of spaced it out enough where everyone's on equal footing.
And additionally, you're at the point where if we have it where some of these games don't matter really. I know how much you love regular season games.
I love regular season games are like oxygen.
But
to
you
me.
know what's even worse than regular season games? Regular season games that don't mean anything. And
Well, technically these games that are coming up in this upcoming weekend, they can change your seeding, I think.
yeah, but
They could
imagine
still
if
change
they
your
didn't.
seed.
Like, imagine if the postseason, the bracket to play in, where it's like, if you're like, we're only taking top 16 in the bottom 4 teams, or if anybody was already mathematically,
yeah.
like they'd be playing games, and then the only thing that would really matter is kind of who their opponents
I
play.
much prefer this postseason format
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
then regular season games actually matter because your seed is determined coming into the playoffs, and instead of everyone just being automatically disqualified, your seed is still important for making
Yep.
it in, and you still have a chance. So I think there's still stakes involved now, rather just being eliminated. Now, obviously, elimination is a stake. Like if you're not like top 15 or whatever, that is a stake.
Certainly.
But I still feel like it makes it far less interesting because like if a team's already been mathematically eliminated before this, then why do we care?
Yeah.
Like, what do I care if Boston, their current stat, what are they, like 2-14
lot.
or something? Like, so, and like they would be eliminated if we were in like previous formats. They would be, there's no chance. They make it to the finals for NA, into the playoffs generally. So why would I care about their games? Well, now they could maybe change their seed, and even if they
You're
can't.
telling me there's a chance. And really, as long as there's a chance, at least those
Yeah.
fans can kind of hope or dream. And
It adds a lot more to the
yeah.
experience to me.
And it would not be the first time in the world that we have seen teams just have Cinderella performances just explode out of nowhere, have massive. I mean, even Boston themselves had a couple weeks when Punk got signed where everyone was like, oh, is this a new Boston? And then they ran out of steam. We've seen that before with the Houston Outlaws. We've seen that before with a large number of teams. So maybe somebody does just have some absolutely crazy uptick in performance, like Dante decides to I don't know, just an IV of Adderall while playing.
I don't know if that's allowed.
I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
I don't think that's
but,
allowed.
It's offline.
He'd be like,
so-
hey, this is my support Adderall.
I'm pretty sure Adderall doesn't even come in IV form anyway. Not that I'm an
That's
expert
fine. I mean,
on it.
he could just, it's my emotional support Adderall,
It's
when
your
he gets on
emotional
stage.
support Adderall.
But I think that's overall a much better, improved format for me.
Yeah.
It gives them more stakes to the seeding matches in regular season. And I'm also positively surprised, and because I had a rant about this in my own stream, but I was very happy with the Overwatch community, which is not something I say too often. And
I'm gonna write down the day.
They were
Avast
they were
was-
pretty mature about the situation when they announced like we're not gonna do a LAN and we're trying to at least get everyone to Korea so we're on equal pings. Like obviously there are still some complaints and some of them are relatively valid because the Korean Contenders already operates on a LAN venue without without any sort of audience, whatever. But overall, everyone was like, yeah, this is pretty, as opposed to like CDL where people were just flinging poo at the walls and like they were losing
that's the COD
their
community,
goddamn
though.
minds.
Like, if you don't like the Overwatch community,
They were losing their minds, and they were like, "Wow!" There was a guy out there comparing that like coronavirus is somehow an equally job accessible risk to like blowing out your knee as a football player. I was like, "No, it is not. It is not at all." Like, so I was actually pretty impressed with the Overwatch League community. They were relatively mature.
I mean, this is also like the
whole
Overwatch
thing.
League community has kind of been through our paces about, how many times did we get whiplash about format changes when COVID was still an emerging thing, right? So,
I think it also helps that we're a lot more global.
yes,
as well.
probably.
So I feel like that adds, it definitely dilutes some of the
and
dumbness.
this is the first year for the Call of Duty League, and this is year 3 for the Overwatch League. So, yeah, a lot of reasons why you could treat the Overwatch League community as more mature. That's such a weird sentence to say, but you know what? I guess it actually works in this context. So good on you. Clap, clap.
Clap, clap.
Clap,
It
clap.
does lead. It will, and also there will always be an asterisk next to anything, in my opinion, because unless there's a single meta for the whole year, because who knows if the meta changes at all between now and postseason. Everyone's gonna be like, well, they were just really good at this meta,
Yeah.
Just like how London was really good at the meta at the end of season one.
Exactly.
Then Shock was, granted, there was a meta change, but it was still relatively close to like for season 2. So there will always be asterisks that people arbitrarily apply, and I think this is probably the best case scenario of like we're reducing the number of asterisks. It looks a lot less like a password that's being entered. So what are you bringing out the bell? What is the bell?
I'm just going to say, with the number of times that we've said asterisk, and how do you say it? Asterisk?
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 Yeah.
Everyone type
you
in.
said it
type in,
you said it so many different ways, my brain has melted, and I just
You know what?
stopped
I'm
believing
gonna
it's a
type
real
in.
word.
Asterisk is important because it hides your password. I'm gonna put mine in.
I'm pretty sure you're
Hunter
not
2.
saying it right.
Hunter 2 is my password, chat. So, maybe I'm saying it wrong. I don't know. But the point is that I was pleasantly surprised with the community, and also. Wait a minute. My brain's processing. I thought I had a point.
Get it. You get that train right back on those tracks.
I thought I had a point here. It was going somewhere.
You sure?
It was going somewhere.
You take your time, bud.
It definitely. I had something.
You go when
in
you're
mind.
ready, Rocky.
I definitely had something in mind before I was like, I started getting started. The bell, the cacophony of the bell.
Well, we already used the word of the bell. Now we can't
use.
use it for cacophony, man.
It hit my eardrums and then it disrupted me. It was like the orb of confusion. That's what it got me with there. I have completely lost what I was going to say. The bell has actually cleared my brain. It's like emptying the recycle bin.
We found the reset button. Are you sure you're not just like post-hypnotic suggestion
There
or
was
something?
There was something.
Chat,
there.
just make something up. Like, chat, does anyone want to put a memory or a thought into that brain? It's a little bit empty
Let's
right
just
now.
run some burettes. Try again. Run some ads real quick. Go to the ad break. I mean,
You got it?
I got it.
Oh, man.
I got it.
Pickle Ave.
No, not Pickle Ave.
Not Pickle
Not
Ave.
Pickle Ave. So the asterisk, however
You
you're
were
supposed to...
definitely not saying that.
Asterisk. It's a
You're changing how you say it every time.
asterisk.
No, it's different this time, too.
I'm gonna look at. We're getting derailed again. We're getting derailed. I was gonna look at the spelling for asterisk, and now we've run out of right. The point is that I think that we've also got on equal enough footing overall because of the hero pool changes and stuff that
absolutely.
I'm feeling pretty confident going into this. That on top of there now being equal pings, that there won't be any crazy meta shifts necessarily unless Jeff comes down and is like, actually, Brigitte can fly and has Hellfire missiles or something. Then
Yeah,
probably
if he actually
not.
takes Dreamer's suggestion, you see his Twitter.
That was just a deletion.
Yeah,
not,
just delete it. But no, I mean, even if we go into the grand finals here with Genji being super overpowered or something right now, like, I'm okay with that, man.
Yeah.
I'm okay with seeing.
I agree.
Yeah, it's nice.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
But it also makes me sad too because it leads back to the NA argument. It's like I really feel like I don't think NA is the better region. I've stated publicly against that, but I do think that NA has a lot of talent, and for there to be so many teams, not just from an ownership perspective where you want to have that airtime just because you invest in the league, but also because it's clear that the competition has at least elevated a bit, and it helps considering that the league is like, and NA is like at this point like I think the NA teams are comprised of like 60% or more like Korean players at this point that have just come from.
Oh, I don't know the exact.
I don't know the exact percentage, right?
Yeah.
The total league is like 60% or something, but obviously that includes teams that are in the Asia region as well. So like, and most of the time those are going to be almost exclusively Korean or Chinese players, but obviously there's some exceptions. But I think the level of play has increased. I'm pretty happy with how NA is developed, and I really would like to see more of that cross-regional play between them, and there's so many teams. So that is the one thing I'm actually really disappointed about for the postseason. That's by far the biggest. I can handle not having a LAN, understand the complexities, understand the safety reasons. I'm just disappointed in the lack of teams that are moving. That's my biggest thing, because I feel
You
like
just want more good Overwatch.
Yeah, and I just
you.
want a more barometer too, because
Yep.
if more teams show up and then they get crushed or they do okay, they're like, oh wow, then we can really start changing our narratives a
Yep.
bit. But if it's like the top 2 teams from NA and the top 2 teams, and like unless they get totally blown out,
Yeah.
the narratives about
I absolutely
you know,
agree with you. Like it's super disappointing, especially as you start hearing some of these, like seeing things like Trioben or something face off against a Krong or any of those like really big name players from NA, having them face off like a clash of not only team but also superstars, and like there's more storylines if you get to mash the storylines that happen in APAC with the ones that happen in North America. So yeah, it is kind of just it's a disappointment, I suppose, that we aren't seeing more of that cross regional play, and it is going to happen only in the grand finals where there's so many excuses that fans on both sides can use.
I thought because after they go through the first. So the final 4 teams, it's not.
I mean, like just like that. The overall, like that this is the first time really in the season that we are seeing that in general. So, Liquipedia says about 60%.
Yeah, but
somewhere in there.
Whatever the percentage was in NA at this point too is what I'm specifically is what I was.
Do we still have any Icelandic people in the league?
Not right now, no.
No,
because Finzy's gone and Half Equal's not in. So
yeah, damn.
No,
the highest per capita of Overwatch League players, but no more. Now they're back to 0 per capita.
But that's my one true disappointment. Overall, though, I understand there's logistical reasons for that too, and like how you draw up the tournament if you have more teams and it becomes like unequal or uneven. So I'm just kind of upset. over that thing. But overall, I think the postseason was a pretty good compromise. I was the best possible compromise we could get. I like that everyone can work their way through. I'm pretty excited to see how it pans out. All things considered, I am pretty hyped. And even the regular season game, I haven't actually gone through and looked at the regular season games to see which ones are truly going to be able to change seeding necessarily. But even if it doesn't change seeding, it could at least change your perception of a team moving in. Like maybe a team figures out what they want to do heading into the postseason, right? And they just suddenly click. And it's like, well, this is great because now we have a new contender.
Florida Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I do think that this is going to be a really exciting time. I'm pretty hyped for the postseason. And, I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good.
Well, we're going to ask you the same question. We, of course, have to get to the responses. But before, we want to know whether or not you agree with Mr. Avast here about whether or not you think that it's okay that there are only 2 teams from North America heading over towards the postseason playoffs. And what do you think about the actual LAN system? Because they're not technically playing on LAN, not technically playing the same venue, but they are playing just close enough in the region where ping should not be a factor. So those are the questions for the mailbag this week. If you're okay as a North American fanboy to see only 2 teams heading over, and what do you think about the LAN environment?
And we did a people's court, or not a people's court, but rather a community court over the MVP and Rookie of the Year candidates you guys submitted to us with Judges Av and Jath, but we'll still touch
legal
on the
titans.
Legal titans, of course. We'll still touch on some of the other submissions that were submitted for MVP and Rookie of the Year, and I'll start with my Discord because I think we don't really have like a lot of time dedicated for today necessarily. We should probably maybe have a dedicated time moving forward that we'll actually present our own picks.
Yes.
Today is not the day. Today is more of we're looking at the community's picks and arguing about our thoughts about it, at least mine. And so I'll start. I'll go with Hapt. So Hapt from my Discord in the Contested Mailbag channel said, their Rookie of the Year is Fielder, which is a lot of performances, very good performance, consistency, and endurance for someone that's on high ping and in a crazy time zone and has had very good play, and has been living separately from their entire team as well, which I think is a pretty reasonable Rookie of the Year choice, honestly. The one thing I will say, though, is that a caveat for Rookie of the Years is that where do you draw the line of how long they need to be in the league? Because Fielder didn't join until, like halfway?
Yeah.
So it's not like we have a full season of data over Fielder.
I think it's just as long as this is their first season sort of thing. Like if you play I think the question is probably more important if they play like one day at the very end of season 3 and then they play in season 4. Do they count as a season 4 rookie? But if you come in halfway through and you still manage to,
you're still a rookie, right?
Yeah.
But should you be qualified for rookie of the year if you've only played like half your games?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it's even harder and more impressive if you pull off rookie of the year in only half the time that somebody else has. So yeah, I would think so.
That's fair. That's fair. So that was like my only, but I would say that's a pretty consistently like not a terrible candidate choice because I guess that also would include like players like Sparkle and stuff,
certainly. Yeah.
So you'd have to actually that'd be an important caveat. And then their MVP candidate is Moth for his dedication to marbles racing on stream, and also for being consistently impactful throughout the entire year, multiple metas, multiple hero pools.
That is interesting because earlier in the year we were talking about Moth's kind of more dominance on Lucio and how he was struggling on the other
I mean,
heroes.
I would say that
because like Shock have beefed out their support line specifically because of Moth's weaknesses, right?
Yes, but the thing is that Moth was never like bad at those heroes.
No.
It was more of like
just maybe not Shock caliber.
Just wasn't like a championship caliber necessarily, right?
Yeah, which is what Shock wants.
Like championship caliber for sure on Lucio and Mercy, but like for BAP and Brigida, strong enough to be a top tier teamster and to be a top tier player on them, but not necessarily like a championship winning support on them.
That did put Shock in a weird position because, of course, Moth is a very smart player who's very famous for his ability to shot call. So even when he was in, you could tell that the team was more aggressive and cohesive. So it's an interesting one to.
I really think that's like not an unfair MVP, honestly.
It's not unfair to put it out there for consideration.
But for myself, I really lean towards still for my MVP. If we were gonna pick someone from Shock, I would lean much more heavily towards Rascal or Choi Open.
Not Violet?
No, I actually think Rascal and Choi. I think Choi, even though Choi like sometimes will have bad, Choi just does things on Sigma that make me feel funny. It makes me feel happy, and Choi's off-tank performances are incredible. I think Choi is a very, very like solid, consistent player that even when his games are bad, he doesn't really play that bad.
Yeah.
I really, really am a huge fan of Choi as a player. And then Rascal is like someone that comes in and can play like everything and is pretty integral to like how they make their lineups. Now, I will say we didn't get to really see Rascal's Genji. But they didn't really spend a lot of time with it. So
yeah, that was weird.
We'll have to see how if Rascal doesn't hold up in like if Genji continues to be meta, if Rascal doesn't hold up in Genji, I feel like his name sort of dropped from the list a little bit. But I really am a huge fan of Choi. If we were to pick players from Shock, Violet is the thing is like they got Twilight simply because Violet couldn't play Ana.
The reason I bring Violet up is that I looked at. Somebody posted it on the competitive Overwatch Reddit, the votes that people got from the actual threads, and Violet was actually the individual who received the second highest number of votes for MVP candidate of people on Reddit. I mean, that's not exactly...
And also, I don't think that's an unfair choice either.
Yeah.
It's just for me, if you're a flex support player, and they pick up someone to pretty much play Ana as well for you, it's a mark against you as an MVP. It's not going to take you out, right? I still think Violet's performance on Brigida and Xin is so impactful, or not Brigida, but Baptiste and Xin is so impactful that you could make the argument. But I think that for an MVP, you have to be just incredibly well-rounded as well.
Yeah, and if you're going by that, Choi makes sense. He is... we used to kind of think of him as like a diva one-trick sort of thing, but he has very consistently proved since those days.
But then you also bring in the argument of like, does an MVP just mean the most valuable player for their team, or does just the MVP of like the entire league?
I mean, apparently we don't even know what Dark Horse means.
Yeah, we don't know.
Imagine trying to define MVP.
And we always run into subjective reasonings. But for myself, for MVP, it is not someone that is only insanely impactful, but is also well-rounded. Okay. And that's where I think Violet loses some marks for me.
Okay, we've got another comment coming from Wesley Ship on YouTube. He says, I think it took the Summer Showdown for most people to realize Krong claps cheeks every single game. He's easily up there with the Void as the best off-tanks in APAC. Reasonable. Sparkle is the focal point of a tourney-winning roster, which puts him in the running as well. But I'd like to call back to his teammate Xe, who was doing the best hit scans in the world early season and in the tourney. Also, Lip has been shown to win maps for the Dragons and been a huge part of the success all
But what
year.
about his EMPs?
What about his EMPs? So, Wesley Ship picks Krong, Sparkle, Xe, and Lip.
That's still a lot of choices.
Still a lot of choices.
See, this
Speaking
is
of
why.
which, there was one guy. I got to call you out, man. Playlist Master 123. Like, I understand that your name is Playlist, and you obviously like making lists.
And he's a master of it.
But the dude just listed, like, practically everyone in the league. It was like, what are these guys? So, calling you out, Playlist Master 123 from YouTube.
That's right. Add that to your playlist.
Make up your mind! Anyway. Wesley Ship also said, Carpe also finds ways to click all the heads, even in metas where hitscan don't usually dominate. Slams meat on table every chance possible.
Wow.
Just like the addicted to being furnished. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Shanghai tagline is a large contributing factor to the Dragon's success this season with a slight edge to Void over Fearless. Disagree. Storylines, man. Nothing better than stories. And really, who has... All right, I'll stop. He just controls the map and pace so well as leading in most SIG categories. Violet has been most stand-up player on the Shock this year consistently.
Well, once again, not unfair. It's been a bat piece meta most of the
I'm just looking in
time.
your general direction. You know, it's not like
unfair,
I'm attacking
I'm just saying
you.
It's been a bat meta most of the time,
All
so
right,
not unfair.
All right. Maybe strange shouts, but Shu and Iziaki have been really good most of the year. Not MVP level, but they have been sneaky good. So his main MVP picks, Carpe, Void, and Violet from Mr. Wesley Ship.
It's a good choice all around. We'll definitely have to spend some time actually creating our own responses.
Yeah.
We didn't really do that because today we wanted to focus a lot more on your guys' responses and sort of debate a little bit about the merits of them and, go to court to represent those ideas. But we haven't really directly cemented our own just yet. It's something that we need to do. I would like to maybe soon have our own presentation of them. But there's a lot of really good choices. It is always hard, and you sort of just have to draw a line in the sand and be like, this is my choices. Like, live with it, don't live with it. I don't care. So hopefully we'll have something like that soon. But it's gonna be a tight race. I'll say it's gonna be a tight race. I mean, even when I brought up Troy, people were like, "What about Fury? What about Krong? What about Void?" And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes, exactly.
And this is such a subjective thing just in general. The Overwatch League, they could have their own way of judging it. Like, I think there was one comment in chat, it's gone down, but about how, some leagues pick MVP based off of a specific category or something, and we don't know if there's
There's always going to be someone unhappy.
So, I mean, most people. There's going to be the majority of people unhappy. I mean, not Call of Duty League fans level of unhappy, but unhappy. Unhappy.
Not League player unhappy.
No, I mean, let's not go that low.
Yeah, I'm not going that low. But Avast is such a Shock, Simp, and Fusion hater. Honestly, first of all, I was one of the few people to not put Shock number 1 in my power rankings. Just going to put that out there.
I mean, your power rankings were also just all over the place.
They have been, but I've hit some gyms in there. I've also hit some
if you take
terrible
a fistful
defeats.
of darts and just yeet them at a wall, one of them's going to be on target.
I've also had some terrible defeats as well in the power rankings for this year.
I mean, if you take a handful of darts and yeet them at a wall, a few are also going to miss.
But I'm also not afraid to admit when I was wrong. And I will say that Fusion has 100% outperformed my expectations.
Yep. I mean, I was, very first couple episodes here, I was sitting here angrily being a Fusion simp. So yeah.
So they outperformed my expectations. So I have to admit that Fusion are a lot better than I originally anticipated. But the thing is, looking at talent, I expected them to be really good. It was more of just, can they actually work together? And seems like they have. Because I feel like if we were to pick almost a theme for Season 3, besides COVID.
besides COVID, all right.
The theme for Season 3, for me, from a team level, has been it is the year of insane talent and terrible cohesion. The teams that have a lot, there's so much talent on so many teams, and just not very many teams, and not every team can really utilize it. So, and that's sort of the feeling I was having towards Fusion in the preseason. So it's pretty big. It's a pretty big shift, I think, from what we've seen in the past, where we sort of just had a lot of bad teams. Or for Season 2, I mean, it was literally just GOATs, and so GOATs even the playing field. And in Season 1, we just had a lot of bad teams and then some really, really good teams, and that was kind of it. So actually, even then, I feel like it was less stratified. But Fusion, you've won my heart. You've won my heart, Fusion. As much as I hate to admit it, you've got me.
Well, on that note, that is all the time we have for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Thursday episode of Contested here in the Frontier Communications studio. Now, bonus little thing. You're doing your own thing. However, I am returning here tomorrow because we're going to be doing a companion stream for the Dallas Fuel versus the Houston Outlaws game. I get to do a companion stream kind of with the Dallas Fuel community. So if you are a Dallas Fuel fan, my sympathies first and foremost. But you're more than welcome to join us. We're going to be able to broadcast we actually do get to broadcast the gameplay.
You guys, they're gonna get very non-scuffed. Your guys' stream is gonna be very non-scuffed.
Yeah.
Mine shall continue to be scuffed, but your guys will be very nice production quality. So if you want to tune in. Jayne will be there, elucidating those that needs it. Elucidating.
We can't keep. I can't ring the bell this many times a day.
I'm backlogging the words.
Okay.
But if you want to have your responses to what your thoughts are about how many teams should come out of an A, or the LAN environment, then drop them in the YouTube chat or also in my Discord in the Contested Mailbag. But that has been this week's episode of Contested.
Just before we go. Clarification, because I see comments in chat.
Okay.
The companion stream is going to be on the Dallas Fuel YouTube channel, not my personal stuff. Dallas Fuel YouTube channel. This is part of. It's a Dallas Fuel broadcast, and it is tomorrow, depending on your time zone, but 4 p.m. Central is when it's scheduled to go live, as long as the games before aren't very quick 3-0s. But now you can close this out.
And now we're closing out, so we will see you guys on Tuesday of next week, because we had only one episode this week because there was no games this weekend, but we're back to 2 episodes for next week. So we'll see you guys there.
And I'm the one with the pants.